We're back for episode 32 of Pursuing the Perfect Pint podcast. And this week has been really interesting, Brent. This was our trips to Denmark and Sweden. And it was so interesting seeing pros and cons to regen ag, how people are thinking about it, the effort to change. And I think there's some interesting perspectives. But before we dive into that, your role as weatherman, Brent, feels like it's now your time to shine.
Yeah, well, in a maybe not in a great way, but I
Yep.
guess all my discussions about being focused on weather has really come to fruition because we are experiencing this massive heat wave across Europe, and it is having an impact on commodity markets in general, and it's coming back to impact barley, although it's not as much a barley story. And overlapping that or intertwined with that is all the geopolitical events that have resurfaced or continue to surface. So we've got a lot going on. So yeah, weather's a big part of it. What you mentioned before, I think it's really good, Danielle, when we get a chance to go out into the fields, literally, and see things in person. So we'll share more about that. But back to weather, heat wave. More of a wheat and corn story, really, in Europe. I think in most cases, not all, but most of the barley has been far enough advanced that it's probably going to miss major problems. There will be some impacts. Yield will be down for sure. We've seen that already from the French result. So it's not perfect, but maybe we could be thankful that the crop was further along and avoided a lot of the problems. Having said that, the problems in wheat and certainly the problems
Yes.
in corn will come back to have an impact. In corn, for example, would impact the feed grain industry, and barley will be part of that. So we will see it. Prices in the last week have gone a bit crazy to the upside. So I guess all this weather talk, we're in a weather market, and it's really come through to a reality, and it's not over yet. So spring harvest for barley will continue in the weeks ahead, and people will be watching very closely what the impact is.
Yeah, I think it's record breaking temperatures across Europe, or
Yeah.
record heat across Europe.
Not that Switzerland's a big deal in the big world of agriculture, but we had the hottest June in recorded history in Switzerland.
Yeah. And I
So
think you drive around here in the south of England and just see the barley crops. It's crops in general. It's looking very dry.
yep.
So as we even move on from that, Brent, where we went round and had a great walk around the Hverringe God's Estate. And I think that was fascinating to learn about really what precision agriculture means and how that translates to what you see in the field.
Yeah, and really good. So we tried to capture it. So we'll run the video, of course, Danielle. I think was most important, and we can talk about that when we wrap up. But I guess here's a case of a farming operation of 2,000 hectares. Barley is a big part of it, and they run their business extremely efficient. They are right on top of it. But we'll see as we get through this. They're not doing regen ag practices, which is maybe a learning, and I think that was one of the key takeaways for me. But I guess let's run the video. There's two little video clips because organic will come and talk about that as well. Really, really interesting part of the world, and a really good story within that. We're out here in a field of laureate, so maybe you could tell us what are we looking at right here?
Right here is spring barley. Sort is regenerative.
Yeah, laureate planted mid-April,
Yeah, of the end of April.
toward the end of
18 April.
a little bit later than last year.
Yeah.
But not terribly late.
Oh, no,
Normal.
I think it's average for
Pretty
Denmark.
close. And I said the earlier field, I said 6.5 tons, and you said I was way too low.
Yeah.
So what's this?
I think the aim is maybe the aim is over 7 tons per hectare.
Yeah. So the translation is, if the farmer says 7, you know it's at least 7.5. There's always a factor of at least half a ton. So, but you're quite pleased with laureate as a variety because it performs reasonably well and it's acceptable.
And we know that the sort after that for many years, and we know how much fertilizer we have to give it and how we should spray it and everything. So.
And you were nice enough to give us a presentation back at the at the office, and you could see that your precision farming starts to show up in the evenness of the field, and you put a lot of effort into adjusting seed rates and fertilizer rates, of course. So it's early in the process, but you're pretty pleased with the results when you start looking at how closely you manage the crop.
I think the crops look amazing.
Very clean. Very clean. So, so there's not much disease as well, right? So
you can see it's very healthy.
And best guess, you would harvest this when?
Yeah.
End of July?
Start August, I guess.
Early August. Given the look of it. Days of time. Okay. Well, stay tuned. We might show some more video in a second. So we saw a good laureate field. We can argue 7.5 plus tons, but now we're in an organic field, and you can see immediately roughly half the yield.
Yeah.
But you're mentioning organic has potential to be quite a big thing in Denmark because there's some changes coming on the from a legislative regulatory perspective. So there's demand for it. I guess there's maltsters are requiring it. I guess you would need some more clear direction on how much organic barley is going to be needed, and is it more than a 1-year commitment? That is my sense, that there are people that are willing to do contracts for more than 1 year, which makes the decision easier for a farmer if you know it's not season by season. So I guess that's maybe one of the things that would motivate you to stay with organic production, because you can plan better.
Yeah, definitely.
That's one of the best benefits, is that commercial piece. So if you describe when you look in the field here, what's the main difference to you when you look from what we just came from laureate to now standing here looking at an organic field? It's not as even, for sure.
It's not clean. There's a lot of weeds in it. It's not that tall. You can see it's much more thin. If you look on the field from the road, it looks pretty nice. There's some few flowers you can see.
And if you pan over there, you have the sea. Probably one of the best views you'd ever have for a barley field.
Yeah.
Maybe next year, maybe this would have a laureate crop in it, which would be looking like the last one. But
I've got a question. You know, all your precision farming techniques, can you still apply those techniques to the field, even though you can't add stuff, or do you not see the value of that?
I think the value is not there.
Okay.
To do it. On this field, we have been plowing, cultivating, seeding, and then spreading some manure on it. That's it.
Okay.
It's probably, when we were preparing back at the office also, you said when you look at, not that you're headed fully down that road, but to go down the path of regen ag as an example, you've also, some of the early thoughts are that the yield loss for barley would be more than other crops. So that initial loss of yield to make the transition is actually a bigger impact on barley, which is a bit of a new information that we have to take into consideration. That's a little bit of a hurdle to overcome to make that. It can fix itself. So you could, after 2 or 3 years, you might come out of that, and the gain may be better later. But the initial drop would be something you'd have to think about before you turned right and went down the regen ag piece, which is very interesting thought and comment that you made.
That's what I hear from other farmers that has been trying it.
So, do you know why barley would be worse, spring barley? What's the reason why it would be more affected by it?
No clue.
No clue. It's just what you see.
Yeah.
Very interesting.
There's got to be something there.
Yeah.
Stay tuned. We'll explore that.
I personally don't think I've ever seen a barley field that was quite so even. I mean, the use of drones and the precision pesticide use and everything, you certainly see it translated into what we saw in that field.
Yeah, and the stark difference between a normal laureate field and then a different variety, but a organic field, and half the yield. So, and I guess the takeaway that I would leave anyone listening to this, Danielle, would be and this farmer who's not doing regen ag, they are doing organic. They see there's a market for it. The business case is there. So for them, the decision is rather easy, because if the business case is there, they'll do it. If the business case isn't there, or they don't see it clearly enough, they're not doing it, at least not yet. And I guess that's important. So I would say regen ag could, in a way, go down the same path as organic, that farmers will do it if they're clear on the business case associated, and that would be a positive. But the fact that they haven't seen that yet would tell us that we have a ways to go. Farmers won't just adopt farming practices naturally just because everyone agrees it's the right thing to do. Everyone's got budgets, right? We've heard that a lot in this podcast. You can't put hope in the P&L.
Yeah.
So we have that. And when we carry on, and what we heard from Jesper at Fuglsang, which was also interesting, a similar message in a different angle, but all this work that's being done, even people, customers of maltsters, so brewers, for example, they're not highly, I guess, excited about regen ag. Certainly still price focused. So there's another case where they don't see the business case for regen ag. So I guess, and we come back to it a lot, Danielle, but how is this going to work going forward? People want it. Where does the sense of urgency start to come through, and where does that picture really become clear, all the way back to the farmer? So farmer to maltster to brewer, as an example. We learned a lot during our trip, and I guess what we can take from that is there's still a long way to go to get everyone rowing the boat in the same direction.
I mean, that was my big takeout. It's not like they weren't investing. They were investing hugely in precision agriculture, their John Deere investments, their drone investments, etc. So where they see a business case, there's investment is made, but the investment into regen ag was just not very clear.
Yeah. And we didn't record it, but we sat down before in the meeting room at the farm and went through a small slide presentation, and that data, they're showing you the variation in proteins in the field. So they know their crop down to, the little hill over on the right side of the field. They know how that's performing versus the lower levels of the field. So they don't have any problem with data or knowing what they're doing, but at the same time, they're not doing regen ag. I think that was the biggest takeaway, and I guess that's the message to share with people.
Agreed. And Brent, as we then move on to where we went to Fuglsang to have some tours around there and to hear what Fuglsang had to say about their views on barley, sustainability, and regen ag.
Yeah, and Jesper, and we've had Jesper on before with Kim, and continue. So I guess. In Jesper's day-to-day work, I guess you could see maybe a little bit some questions. Let's put it that way. That how is this all going to fit? They're doing a massive investment in their energy complex, which is hugely impressive. So they're full bore heading forward on that. To hear at the same time that they're not really seeing their customers jumping up and down in excitement. This is where I was saying earlier. This is where these two things don't seem to be, so well connected. But maybe that'll happen in time. Maybe it's just too early in the process. But there's definitely a place to go. Really good to hear it directly from Jesper, and that was a good message in that, I would say.
Let's hear what he has to say.
Okay, well, the Perfect Pint pursuit has taken us to Denmark, and with the help of Jesper, who will introduce himself very quickly here in a second. But we've been out. We've went and saw some barley yesterday. We saw a brewery visit, thanks to you. So thanks for that. But now where all the hard work is done here in the maltings. But maybe first, Jesper, maybe talk a little bit about your role at Fuglsang, just so everyone's.
I've been working for Fuglsang now for 16 years, doing all the sales works for exports, the local markets. Part of the inventory list now at Fuglsang.
Yeah. So we talked about barley. Barley crop looks good. Not to make it too much of a crop report, but you've got, and we'll get back to this when we talk about some of the inherent advantages that you have and we stopped at a organic brewery. So organic's a really big part of your business, and we saw a brew which will be coming out on a separate episode, so you got to stay tuned for that. But a really good story there. When you look at it from your perspective, let's maybe talk about those foundational, fundamental things. You've got a lot of things in your favor here when you think it's the reason why you're located here as Fuglsang in Jutland, and then you've got a lot of barley around. You got access to ports and these things. But talk in your words. Talk about those things that when you go out and talk to customers, what are the things you just like to reinforce with people?
It's kind of fun because if you're looking at Denmark, we are 6 million people, but yearly we produce 30 million pigs. So the pigs need a lot of grains, a lot of food. A big part of the feed bill is barley. So in Denmark, we produce roughly plus minus 3 million tons of barley. So we have a huge selection. And now we've been driving around yesterday, and you'll be doing a little bit more the coming days, you can see how close everything is. So the proximity of our malting barley and the selection for us is vital.
Yeah.
And again, Denmark being such a small country, go up 50K and you will be coming to an export port.
Yeah.
And we have one bigger up as well. So we have the chance for exports is quite good. And Europe being kind of an importing zone, so the transport away from Europe is also competitive in many areas.
Yeah.
For us, it's 3 pluses we have, I would say.
Yeah. It may sometimes maybe people would just assume what you just talked about on the barley. So having a surplus, if you say a surplus of barley to choose from, gives you and the company good comfort that you have a security of supply, is what we would describe it, and that's a really big plus.
It is,
and you're at the water effectively. So the logistics piece is there as well. We're also, as we did a walk around, and it may come up in a future discussion, but you're doing a lot on the energy side here as well, right? And it's amazing of how much advancement is being done. I was here 5-6 years ago, and you'd already heat pumps and all these things, but you're going to a whole next generation of these things.
We took this second step on electrifications, reduction of the CO2 footprints. So it's quite nice to be in a company that forward and really do the heavy investments to make sure one we will be using less fossils with the less footprint, and also the competitiveness for the future, but also thinking it's not only the plant, but it's also the community around that is being thought in to the future steps and investments.
Yeah, so it's a journey. So, but but you have to make a long-term commitment. I guess that shouldn't be undersold. The whole idea that this is a long-term strategy, and your company is committed to that. So it shows up in the investments that we saw.
Yeah, and again, like the presentation of the new project was done by Generation 6.
Yeah.
So it's just we have at Fuglsang we've been doing for many years the investments in being independent on one single source of energy. So we try to spread it out together with the reduction of the footprint.
Yeah. So there's an amazing platform in place, if I call it that.
Yes.
But your prime job is to take that message and go out and tell people that story in different parts of the world. And as we were prepping for this, it's not that they grab onto that so quickly, or they haven't. It's not like they're so excited about it. So it seems like there's still a bit of a gap between all this long-term planning, sustainability, and decarbonization. All these things. There's lots of efforts being done, but there's still people that aren't really seeing it maybe as clearly as you and I would maybe see it. How would you describe that?
That's true. Some areas it's more the focus on price, because it's the competitiveness. As long as we've been talking for many years now, the consumption of beer is going down. So the competitiveness in the market is needed for the brewers. So the CO2 reduction, the sustainable way of growing is not number 1, 2, 3 on the agenda. It's more the competitiveness and being able to make the beer for a price that is good for the end consumer.
Yeah, and it's kind of hard to see how that cycle ever gets broken, right? I guess.
Yes, I would say, first of all, we need a more stable world, so we don't see that fluctuations of energy and some bottlenecks when it comes to transport or to energy. We need more stability, and it's difficult to see what and when and how.
Yeah, I think that would definitely contribute. I think it's also a bit of a mindset. You're going to have to get people everyone has to be on the same page in terms of moving in that CO2 reduction and all these things you just mentioned. So you made some travels recently. I guess you keep carrying the flag. And
I both hands and running forward,
which is great. I guess you just have to keep delivering the message. I guess that's repetitive and
yes,
telling people
and just telling what we're doing and also what should be done, because the urgency that we may be feeling here in it's not the same urgency that you see other places, because we're not on the same page yet.
Yeah. Well, maybe it's a little bit. It's more clear to me when I come here to Hattersley and visit, and of course we saw the barley as we talked about, and you can look out and the wonderful location with the water here and everything. So, and the energy stuff that you're putting in place, it seems like a really clear story to me. It's I guess in some ways it might be a little bit of a frustration to see how do you get other people to see it the same way, which is part of your job, I guess, to do.
It should be big part of it, and I'm trying and struggling, and people listen interesting and are asking some questions, but again, when it comes to the last final word is surprise.
Yeah.
So the struggle is there, and but it's a nice fight to take, because still there is interest, but not as high.
Yeah. Well, I guess on that point, just keep carrying the flag into battle and keep battling. I know you're going to. I guess you can't. It's not practical that you couldn't get all your customers to come here. I guess the more that if people experience this, I think they would see it much clearer. And I guess articulating that, we do the podcast to share those stories as well. So we'll keep doing our part. I think the organic story that we touched on briefly is it's quite unique in Denmark, how well it's established, and we talked to someone that's been in organic 100% and a wonderful story there. But it's quite unique. You travel a lot, and it's in Germany, and there's places that organics exist, but on a proportion basis, it's more established in Denmark than anywhere, I would say.
I would say, yeah, because for the export, it's more or less only Germany we do, and we still see more breweries here that is 100% organic, and we still see some few of them even having their own fields, so they can also malt their own barley to make it from earth to table, and it's quite nice. And the people are very focused and very happy about it, what they're doing.
Yeah, no, it's a great story. So if you get a chance, there's some wonderful organic beers to try, and I took a picture at the brewery and with the Fuglsang malt. You looked like a proud father standing beside the malt, which was great. So I guess that was a great moment. Maybe to wrap up, I guess perfect pint in the pursuit of the perfect pint. Maybe we'll change it a little bit. What's your favorite beer style? If you were thinking, what's your beer of choice, and just from a style perspective?
I drink beer we have the 4 seasons in Europe, so I drink after season. If it's summer, I like my wheat beer, a typical German style wheat beer on the terrace with the right glass, of course. I love it. Going back when it's getting cold and dark, I like my barrel-aged stouts.
Yeah.
So dark and light and light.
Yeah. And And I guess occasions would be part of that as well. So
Of course, yeah. We just had it in the weekend. There's a small island close to the west coast. I went there with family to a small brew house. Sitting at the brew house, was together with good friends and family, and enjoying. And it's nice.
The opportunities here in this part of the world, in this part of Denmark, there would be hundreds of places you could think the perfect pint would be there. The scenery is fantastic, the sea all around, and some wonderful views. So you live in a very, very nice part of the world, and you're connected to making some great beers. So keep doing that, and thanks again for your time this week and getting us connected. So always a pleasure, and keep carrying the flag.
And likewise, thank you very much.
Yeah, our pleasure.
And enjoy the beer while driving around Denmark. It's good.
Yeah, for sure. We'll do that. Cheers.
Cheers. Bye.
I think Jesper, he's been around for a long time, certainly has that scars to speak for it. And I think you're right, Brent, huge investments that they're making in the maltings and Fuglsang, so interesting from a sustainability perspective. But also this kind of journey that we see from traditional malt to maybe regen ag to organic, and how do we kind of bring that all together to understand what's best going forward?
Yeah, really. I think really we didn't know what to expect in one sense, Danielle, before we went there, but we learned a lot during the trip. And I guess we brought those stories together, both the farmer story and the Fuglsang story, which is a really big investment in the future. It does bring to light some challenges that we can see in the system that the industry is going to have to manage going forward.
And more next week, Brent, where we travel further into our Scandinavia trip.
Yeah, we got a little more, so we're taking advantage of our time up there, and also see some organic brewing, and also a little more of the farmer to maltster story. So stay tuned for that.
Cheers.
Cheers.